Välkommen alla sammen. Gonna speak today. As most of you know, all the Indo-European religions and languages are related. We were all one people if we go back far enough in time, about 7,000 years. So if we find any similarities between the Norse myths, for example, with Hinduism, and it sounds like they are related somehow, well, it's because they are. And we're looking at one of these today, one of these many examples, and it's something that I've discovered, and you're not going to be able to read about it anywhere else, so it's a little bit of exclusive info here. So I got the idea by reading Maria Kvilhaug's book, this one here. Amazing book, and she basically relates Yggdrasil, the tree of life, to the human body. Now, Yggdrasil is thought to represent many different things in the myths. It can be the human body, it can be the world, it can be the universe, dimensions, even the placenta. And to be honest, it's very possible that it represents all of these things, which is why our world tree is such an important part of the myths. But this particular myth, it represents the human body, and Maria, she takes the eagle sitting at the top of the tree and shows how it is the third eye, like we all know about from some other spiritual people talking about that. So I'm not going to go too deep into this theory just to save some time, but if you read this part of her book, you'll be 100% convinced, I'm sure. The link, I'll even put a link in the description to where you can find that book anyway. But anyway, so the nameless eagle that's sitting at the top of the tree, it has a small hawk sitting in between its eyes, and those two together are said to have knowledge of many, many things. And you probably all know about the third eye. Scientifically, it's called the pineal gland, and in our brain, and it's responsible for releasing the molecule DMT, which gets released when we dream, when we die, when we take some psychoactive substances like ayahuasca or other things like that, and they bring crazy visions and journeys to the spirit world. And that is what this eagle represents in the top of Yggdrasil, just like we see the third eye does at the top of our bodies right here. So then, of course, what else do we have on Yggdrasil? We have nidhogger, which is the dragon or serpent that's gnawing at the roots of the tree. And then, of course, we have the mischievous squirrel that's running up and down the tree talking shit, relaying messages between the two. So this is Maria's theory that these represent the different parts of the human body, the roots, the third eye, all of that. But when I read this, I automatically thought about the chakras. So one chakra in Hinduism is the third eye. The second is the root chakra, right up under your ass, right there. And the third chakra is the one responsible for relaying energy and messages. So I thought, wow, that's awesome. That must be it. Like that, this is the parallel. But wait a minute. There are 7 chakras in Hinduism, and there's just 3 of these creatures hanging out on Yggdrasil, the eagle, the squirrel, and the serpent. But what many people forget is that there are actually 4 red deer that are supposed to be on Yggdrasil gnawing on the leaves. So there we go, 4 more. That makes 7 total. The 3 main chakras, plus the 4 other chakras that they call noble truths. So here is that chart. Now these parallels are absolutely not the same. They were all the same originally, but we have to go back 7,000 years, and these two have spent, of course, thousands of years evolving apart. So all that is left is some similar principles. But this is a chart I made, by the way, so I have no idea if it's going to be right, if being totally honest. A few of these we can see, okay, yeah, 100% sure they're going to be correct, but some of them I have no idea where to put them. I really don't know anything about Hinduism. So I would like to hear from you guys. If any of you are knowledgeable about the chakras, help us out and comment what you think. So I put the names of the deity / chakra in the circles there, and then below in quotations is the direct translation of what that word means, and then the known function. So We have the eagle, of course, which is a parallel to the ajna chakra. That's where the third eye is. That one is pretty easy to see. Keep in mind that the eagle is never mentioned with a name, though, in any Norse myth. But the hawk that is sitting between the eagle's eyes is called Veldurfölnir. I'm usually pretty good at pronunciations, but that one is difficult for me. And this name, directly translated there, could be weather of the wind or calmer of the storm, aka a metaphor for death in Old Norse poetry, metaphorical poetry. But I'll go into more detail on these once I've spent a bit more time researching the chakras. Then we have nidhogger, gnawing on the roots. And just like in Hinduism, the root chakra, there is a snake wrapped around the root chakra there. And it shows kind of the difference between the two cultures here. The root is associated in Hinduism with positive, sexual, feminine energy. But in the Norse beliefs, it's associated with shame and dishonor, and with nidh, or neither, being the Old Norse word for shame or dishonor. So it's pretty interesting. Like, you can see they're both similar, but how the societies evolved differently. Feminine sexual energy developed into something sacred and positive in India. But over 7,000 years, the Norse world, being some big, manly, warlike Viking, he would of course associate this feminine energy with shame and honor. So I'll go into more detail about that in another video, but you can see the point how, it's the same basic principle, but it's just the different societies' perception of these. Then we have the squirrel, which is paralleled with the chakra Manipura, which controls the flow of energy in and out of the body, and also up and down through the chakras, just like the squirrel's function on the tree, conveying the messages to the root and eagle at the top. Then those three we're pretty sure are right, but then we have the four chakras that are known as the Four Noble Truths, which are the deer. Now, we really know nothing about the deer except for their names and a rough idea of the translation. Two of these names are actually also dwarves' names in the Norse myth, so I'm really not sure about where to put these, to be honest, where their parallels are in the chakras. One of them is clear, that's the Duneyr and the Anahata, and they seem like they are a perfect fit. Both have to do with a fire, and thundering in the ear metaphor kind of looks for sure like a metaphor for listening to your heart and doing what you know is right, just like that chakra. But the other three, I have no idea. Please feel free to comment some of your ideas. If any of you know a little bit more about Hinduism than I do, I would love to hear. So it's absolutely amazing, these types of parallels. We can evolve apart for 7,000 years, but the real spiritual truth stays with us. I'm not saying the Norse have all the answers about these things, and I'm not saying the Hindus have all the answers either, but it's absolutely worth some more research. And I think that it is pretty clear that ancient peoples knew a lot more than we did today, and a lot of info has been lost to us throughout the ages. So this is just one thing. I'm going to dive into a little bit more depth with a lot of these and looking at the parallels and what they could be. I just need a little bit to research the chakras. As I mentioned, I don't know a lot about Hinduism, but that's it for today. Vi ses nästa gång.